Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We are launching the first live Google Plus Hangout in our Time Accountability series. Today, we have Australian leadership author and productivity expert, Neen James, joining us to discuss folding time. Hi, Neen.
G'day, it's so fabulous to be here.
Well, I am so excited to get to interview you, if for nothing else than to get to hear your adorable accent. I'm so excited to get to talk to you. Neen, so many people, myself included, feel like we are continually struggling to find enough time in the day to get everything done.
Right.
You have come up with a brilliant concept called folding time. And so what I would like to ask of you today is, can you tell me a little bit about what is folding time and why is it necessary to us?
Folding time is about being able to achieve twice as much in half the amount of time. Think about it. You know, I often say time management's out the window. That worked in the 80s where you could just make a list and there was no such thing as these little cell phones, you know. I think what's happened is the people that I get to work with are overwhelmed, overworked, and they're overbusy. People are overstressed. Technology's changed the pace at which we work. And so what's happened is no one has told people what the new systems are, the new rules, the new etiquette. And so the reason I created Folding Time was I think it's more than time management. I think time is a component of it. Folding time is about being accountable for your time. It's truly about engaging your attention and then leveraging your energy. And I think when you do that, you get to filter your decisions very differently and ensure that your workflow is such that you're investing in the right activities, that you're truly a person who does what they say they're going to do. You're a person of integrity, and that's how I think you have a greater impact in the world.
Well, it's interesting that you compare it to time management, because that's the concept I hear thrown around all the time is ideas to manage your time, ideas to manage your time. How would you say, or what would you say is the biggest difference between your idea of folding time as opposed to just time management and checking something off of a list?
Because I think that's what it is, Misty. I think that we all get 1,440 minutes in a day. We all get gifted that. It doesn't matter. Time's not prejudice. Time doesn't care how old you are or how young, how fit you are or how unfit you are. Time doesn't care what's printed on your business cards, because time's going to happen whether you like it or not. And we don't have time to do everything. We only have time to do what matters. So I believe time management is not really possible. Time's going to happen. It's really how you choose to invest your attention and your energy that are going to give you the greatest results. Because now we're living in a world where people are so phenomenally distracted and we have this information overload. They say it's the age of information, and I think it's the age of over-information. We have so much going on around us and we have to sort through the clutter of that. Time is going to happen whether you like it or not. So it's about how you choose to invest your time that makes the biggest difference, and that's through what you engage your attention and leverage your energy.
You know, it's so interesting that you say that, because I hear debates going on all the time about, you know, the technology is supposed to help us get more efficient and more effective, and it's supposed to help deliver information to us, you know, upfront and faster, but it almost seems as like it's overwhelming us in the sense that we feel the pressure to have to do more, be more available, be more on track.
Yeah.
So, and Neen, you know what? I am going to stop real quick and give our viewers a quick apology. I should probably have introduced myself before we got started as well. I am Misty Mercado with Social Connects, and on air today we also have Gina Schreck with Social Connects, who is going to be taking questions from our viewers. So if anything we say resonates with our viewers, if you have a question or a comment, feel free to post it on Neen's Google Plus page, and we will answer it on air, or we will respond to you on Google Plus or Twitter, whichever social media site you're on right now. So my sincere apologies for interrupting, Neen. I do want to get back to our questions, though.
I was just going to quickly say I see people checking in already on Google Plus, so definitely put your questions there. I'm monitoring that, and I'll pull them in. I feel like I'm on Hollywood Squares. You know, we're in our little square. I'll be taking questions from the audience. So awesome.
Well, so Neen, to get back to the question that I have for you is that with the technology, going back to the conversation we were having about technology, everyone is walking around with their head in their phone. Everyone seems to not know how to shut off their digital attention versus their face-to-face attention. So with people constantly striving to find a balance between work and life, why does it seem to be an ongoing struggle? Like, why is it that people just can't seem to either separate the two and make a clean disconnect, or somehow figure out how to have that balance? So what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think the challenge is that we call it work-life balance, and I think that there is the myth. Work-life balance is a myth because there's this perception it's a set of scales that work and life might equal. But nobody has the right to tell you what your work-life balance should be. I think it's about work-life integration, and that's different. Instead of a set of scales, I think it's more like a triangle. If you think of work-life integration differently, because depending on where you are in your career, whether you work for someone else, whether you have your own practice, whether you have team members who work for you, maybe you manage your home, maybe you manage a nonprofit, no one has the right to tell you what your set of scales is. It's a triangle instead, and I think it's like this. I think at the foundation, it's truly about looking at the expectations of people around you. So often people can't say no, and so you need to manage the expectations of other people, but also yourself. We are the ones who proudly say, oh my God, I'm so stressed, I'm so busy, and we wear stress like a badge of honor in this country. It blows my mind, right? So we need to really think about the expectations we're setting up as well. I think another side of the triangle, Misty, is very much the emotions. It seems to me, especially some of the women that I work with, the executives that I'm working with in my women's leadership program, we feel guilty. We feel guilty if we aren't always connected. Now, that's not just the chicks I work with either. I notice that so many people, they go on vacation, but they just check in. They check into their email. They'll just call in to a teleconference, which is insanity in my brain, because what happens is we have this expectation and this emotion of guilt that we want to make sure we're always connected because we don't want to let anyone down. So part of the struggle with this is not just expectation, but it's also the emotion. And the third thing that I think makes up the third side of the triangle is really the environment we create. So what happens is we create this environment. People sleep with their cell phone. Some people's cell phone gets more attention than the people they share their lives with. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Right? So, you know, when you think about it, what's happened is we've made technology more important than people. And that's not okay. And in order to get work-life integration, you have to decide what the expectations are going to be and have agreements with people in your life of what that looks like. You have to manage your emotions and ensure that you're doing things for the right reason. Because I think we need to get stuff done so we can create more significant moments that matter. And I think it's about creating an environment where people understand what those rules are, and no one has a right to tell you what the rules are. So I don't believe in work-life balance, but I do believe in work-life integration. I think they're very different.
Wow, that's I think probably about 10 things you just said in there resonated with me, from the guilt to the not being able to say no to not knowing how to focus in the moment and let everything else, you know, go by the wayside, and really be able to dedicate that attention to those that are in front of me.
Right.
So, I mean, that is absolutely spot on. So let me ask you, when you did say that we have such a problem saying no, and we seem to struggle with this never-ending to-do list of chores and commitments and activities as a result. Like, why do you think we're struggling with that? And what are your principles or philosophies around stopping that nonsense?
I think the number one reason is because we don't have the ability to say no. And here's my strategy for that. No is a complete sentence. That's it. I think what happens is we say yes, and then we feel bad about it later. Have you ever been at a weekend social event and you really didn't want to go, but you're standing at this event with your glass of wine or champagne or iced tea, whatever you drink, and you're standing at the back of this room and you think, man, I would much rather be at home watching a movie or watching the game, because the reality is you said yes to something that you didn't really want to do because you felt obliged to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. We have holidays with family that we all have to do. There are certain things in life we have to be a grown-up, and there are obligations we need to fulfill. I think what happens is we don't say no because we're scared of hurting people's feelings. However, the strategy for that is to understand how to say no nicely. So I believe that what you can do is have phrases in your language palette that you can use that will help you decline invitations or decline opportunities. I am so blessed to get so many amazing opportunities in front of me. But one of my favorite phrases is, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm so glad you did. I'm at capacity right now.
Wow.
I've got nothing else, right? So, right, I think what has to happen is you have to feel comfortable having the courage to just thank the person for the invitation or the opportunity and just declare, right now I'm at capacity. Don't keep talking.
And I'm going to jump in to say, I learned that from you, Neen, several years back. And it has become, I love when you say put it in your language palette, because I really, once you put it in there and you practice it, I use that all the time. I'm at capacity, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm at capacity. I can't take anymore. And it really does kind of put a reality. It's like, here's the reality.
Right.
And if it's your manager who's asking you to do something and you say, I'm at capacity, here's what I'm working on. Mm-hmm. Did you want me to not do this or not do this?
Right. Exactly. No. And I think we have to say no more often so we can say hell yeah to the things we really want to do. Right? Because often it's the people that we love the most that get the leftovers. Because we're so busy giving all our time and energy to everybody else that the people who matter the most to us get the leftovers, and that's not okay. So we need to say no more often.
And I tell you what, I think that speaks to the vast majority of people. It amazes me how many times I can go to something like a restaurant where you would think a family should be having a conversation amongst each other and talking and communicating, and instead you've got one parent on the phone carrying on a conversation, you've got somebody else texting, tweeting on the internet, kids are tuned out watching video games. You're absolutely right. It's that the commitments that we as adults are making are having those that we love the most in our life sacrifice because of our time.
And we're role modeling this to little people around us. So what we're saying is this gadget is more important than playing with you on the swings or helping you with your meal, and that's not okay. And I think we have to be the people who have the courage to not answer every bell and whistle. So one of the strategies is just flip everything and just turn it off. So turn down the volume, put your do not disturb functionality on your iPhone, your iPad, whatever it is that you're using, but be deliberate about how you manage your devices. By the way, I love social media. I love connecting with my friends. I love texting people. And the reality is that the person that I'm with at the moment, they need to be the most important person. And I never want them to feel less valued because I'm on my phone. Now, I have not mastered this, full disclosure. But it's something that I think we all can be a work in progress on.
That's great advice. So Neen, is there anyone in particular that you think would benefit from the folding time principles more than others? Or is there a specific audience that you think, or is this really applicable to everyone?
When we wrote the book Folding Time by the same name, when this book was written, we wrote it for people whether they were in their personal or their professional life, because what it's filled with is practical strategies you can implement immediately. And so for many people who've read the book, they said, wow, I thought I could just use it at work, but then I was able to share it with my partner when we went home. So I think folding time as a concept, needing to achieve twice as much in half the amount of time, is relevant no matter who you are. The clients we work with have found that they've brought me in right at the senior level all the way through the organization because it's a message that we all need. You see, we all need to get more done so we can create more significant moments in life that matter.
So, Neen, where can our listeners and the viewers that are watching us right now find folding time in order to get started?
If you go to neenjames.com, you'll be able to have a look there. The book is there. It's obviously available on Amazon as well. But if you go to neenjames.com, you can also sign up for our e-zine, and then you'll be able to hear our folding time strategies. It'll pop into your inbox every about 2 weeks so that we can share some more strategies with you there as well.
I have a quick question that has come in. Chris is actually, this is one that I think is really applicable to so many of us. Says, my office culture pushes me into a constant state of multitasking, which we always think of multitasking as something that's a time management principle, that I'm learning to do multiple things. I never feel like I get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
How do you suggest I change that method?
So one of the challenges with multitasking is we never have a sense of completion. If you think about it, it's not till often you go on vacation where you find yourself having a complete thought. We don't even have complete thoughts in a day because we're so distracted. I wonder if you've ever got to the end of your day, Chris, and there's been emails in your outbox that you thought you sent, but because you were doing something else, it doesn't happen. So it's about completion. So the best advice I give everyone when it comes to truly trying to get laser focused in completion is applying the 15-minute rule. I believe you can conquer the world in 15 minutes, and 15 dedicated minutes, not multitask minutes, meaning that you get to the end of that particular program, proposal, email, whatever it is, but apply the 15-minute rule. You see, no one has an hour anymore, but you can create 15 minutes. You can either get up earlier for 15 minutes or you can go to bed later for 15 minutes. But if I started to ask you to get up an hour earlier, go to bed an hour later, that's obscene. So what you want to do to really get laser focused and to try to break up these multitasking cultural and personal expectations we put on ourselves is to clear the clutter. Set your iPhone or a timer for 15 minutes and give yourself the gift of undivided attention, and your sense of completion will also accelerate, and you'll get that really good feel-good that happens as well, so that those, your hormonal system responds so differently when you have that sense of completion. One of the reasons we feel so overwhelmed every day is because we have these half-complete things everywhere, and our to-do lists get longer, and then we transfer our to-do list to the next day. I wonder how many people watching this would be willing to admit in public that they actually write things on a to-do list just so they can cross them off, right? It's crazy, right? Exactly, and we do that because we're multitasking everything. It's crazy. So I totally
go back. I'll go back at the end of the day and go, oh, wait, I did this, and this, because I want to feel a sense of accomplishment.
That's why we do it, right? So to avoid the multitasking, have the courage to apply a 15-minute strategy. You'll be astounded at what you can get done.
See, Chris, you asked the question that I needed to hear the answer. Yeah, and by the way, I know we're wrapping up, but I'm still reading the questions on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Google+. So, and we'll continue taking questions because Neen can answer those after, and she'll give you her undivided attention. We all know that.
Well, and so with that being said, we've actually reached our 15 minutes of this interview today. And so, Neen, I just want to say a personal thank you. And I'm so excited to get to interview you again next month on our folding time topic, Get More Done, where we're going to discuss how to put our ability to focus and prioritize to the test, just like what you were talking about. Like, let's really drill down into what does it mean to have that laser focus. So, Neen, thank you so much for your time today.
It's my pleasure. And always remember, everyone, you don't have time to do everything. You only have time to do what matters.
That is perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you, Gina, for your time as well.
Thank you. Thank you for all the questions.
Bye.